It's like this reverse Midas touch with baby oil and GHB, right? So the GHB touch.
Under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Buried deep, but we're breaking the locks. Footage got clipped, they erased all the shots. They connected dots. Under the docks, under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Yeah, under the docks.
Ahoy, mateys! This is Under the Docks with Paranoid American and Sean Chris. Breaking! The news. We're breaking the news. Well, okay, not really breaking news, but fresh off the presses, a new documentary, December 2nd. But let's roll back real quick because this is Paranoid American. Sean Chris, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the show. Look down below. Like, easy. We make it so easy for you to find everything. But today, we're going over the new Netflix series by 50 Cent, Sean Combs, The Reckoning. This film, we were like, stop the presses, bump everything else, clear my calls. We're taking this.
Wipe the calendar because this is going to be a perfect blend between mainstream docs and deep conspiracy lore. And I think that you in particular, you've got some deep conspiracy lore on this particular topic that the documentary can't even come close to touching. So I'm kind of excited to hear what you think they left out.
Plotting the course. Just a quick synopsis of this film. It follows Puffy, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, whatever you'd like to call him. His kind of start in the music industry to now, but with all the claims and allegations that he's gone throughout the years. The timeline, I'm going to break down the timeline because I did like this one thing about it because I was at first, I've been down this rabbit hole a lot. I know a lot about this situation, the like things that go on. And at first I'm like, are they going to talk about the New York City college event? Because I thought they wouldn't, because nobody ever talks about it, right? And to me, it's significant. So in 1991, Puff, around that time, he was associated with Uptown Records with Heavy D being the catalyst of that. You have like all these names. I'll Be Sure. That's where he meets Kim Porter. That's his origin story. Like they go a little bit further of like he was a goofy kid, stood out. His mom raised him, and she kind of raised him not to be a pussy, for a better term, right? They kind of like made him seem like he was scared, and she would, I guess, whoop him. And they kind of paint you to this picture of like this is how his childhood was, and that's where we're going, and this is why he's here today.
I like that particular aspect of it too. I don't know if you ever seen this movie that had Vince Vaughn in it. Man, I'm blanking on the name, but they have to go to New York and they're like these bouncer guys and they're essentially just delivering some package. And the guy that they have to meet up with is Sean Combs, kind of playing himself. And there's this scene where he gets really upset and he's angry and he's yelling at Vince Vaughn. And I just remember even back when this movie first came out, and I was just thinking, like, he's not that tough. Like, he's not scaring me. Like, I know what he's going for, and it's kind of funny how he's trying to puff himself up and do. Like, he got puffy. He was trying to get like all puffed up. And I remember that scene exactly as soon as this documentary starts rolling, and it starts talking about how, he was basically beating people up left and right. He would show up in an office and just whoop on you. And I guess, yeah, maybe he's got that ability. Maybe he's just crazy. But at the same time, like the stature doesn't match it, right? The bark doesn't match the bite.
Yeah, when you hear Suge Knight shaking Vanilla Ice over the balcony to like steal the rights to his song, you believe it. You're like, that's a huge man, right? Like that seems intimidating. You're like Puffy, the guy dancing in the videos with the shiny pants. You're like in the leather suits, and you're just like, no way. So this documentary goes after like he leaves there and he's now kind of set free. And it's kind of weird how he's let go because he was a head A&R. He was close to the situation. And if you don't know what an A&R is, an A&R basically is the guy that not just discovers the talent, but develops the talent, like finding their image, finding their branding, finding who they are in the industry and how they can maximize the money off of them. And they can change the artistry. And then Uptown Records, I'll be sure, and all of them were in the mindset of, hey, the A&R is more important than the artist. So that kind of gives you the roots of where Diddy was coming from. And he felt like, I think it was Jagged Edge was like the first, not, was it Jagged Edge? I think that was his first group. Now I might be blanking. But he changed their whole image and he decided to get hip hop stuff that he heard right in the clubs, in the basement, and maybe the freak offs, right? They don't mention that, but I'm like, where did he hear some of these songs at? Where he's getting these R&B artists over like hip hop tunes. But he kind of goes and tries to spread his own thing. And it starts off with one of the biggest claims that in 1991, he throws a concert at New York City College with LL Cool J, Mike Tyson, all the names of the time from the late 80s to the early 90s, the who was who. And I like this part, but I also already have like, this is going to have a lot of me criticizing this because I loved where they were going with it. And then I'm like, I need more. You know what I mean? I need more. And then, so to wrap this up, basically, they have the concert. Mike Tyson comes out. There's a stampede of people. 9 people die being trampled to death. And they kind of just walk away scot-free.
In the conspiracy world, this is where you'd say that he was kind of born in blood. This was the human sacrifice needed to kick off this career. And for sure, 50 Cent doesn't take that approach. He doesn't make it seem that this was some kind of ritual or anything. But the documentary series 100% does make an impact that this trauma was where Puff Daddy realizes, hey, I can get a lot of attention. Like there's a lot of attention on me. I can use this to kind of like point myself in a certain trajectory. So even if it wasn't planned, I'm not implying it was planned, but even if it wasn't planned, he was able to use that horrible tragedy and like let no good tragedy go to waste, right? So he was able to kind of like divert that energy and that focus and turn it into a self-promotion thing. And I do think that how well that worked, it kind of set him up for this trajectory where it's like, oh, I can make horrible things happen, whether or not I made that actually have like designed for it, but I can make horrible things happen and then use it to benefit me. And you almost see that recurring throughout the rest of his life. Every time he makes something bad happen, he kind of blows up for it.
Yeah, and again, like you said, they don't really go into detail. Like I'm with you 100%. That this is like, if you're looking at it through a conspiratorial lens, you're like, oh, so that's how he started it all off. Got to kill a couple people, right? You got to have some blood sacrifice.
Baptism by blood. You got to do that if you want to make it in the music industry.
And from there, that's what's so crazy is that headline and kind of keeping him out there. He's starting his own label because he's been let go of Uptown and he's on his own and he decides to start Bad Boy. And Bad Boy, of course, is synonymous with Death Row, right? Death Row, Bad Boy.
Death Row sounds way more hardcore than Bad Boy. It's almost hard to say Bad Boy and not almost giggle a little bit. So it just everything is so on brand for him, I think, as a person.
And you're right, because I also think that like Bad Boy is like the PG Death Row, right? Like if you're like, hey, you know what? Let's PG this up. And if you look at the music, besides maybe Biggie's Ready to Die, for the most part, it is that. It's like, let's do this pop stuff, but sprinkle a little bit of gangster in there, like, and make it like a little rough, but not too rough, just a little Bad Boy.
And not just that, but like, oh no, don't worry, mom, this song has Sting in it, so this is like the good rap. But you're never gonna get a Tupac song necessarily. For I guess there's Dear Mama, but I don't know if your mom would actually appreciate Dear Mama.
Yeah, the crack fiend part kind of he loses people.
Mama was a crack fiend.
But from there, he starts Bad Boy, and one of the first artists is Craig Mack. Craig Mack, flavor in your ear. Like he's synonymous with Bad Boy because that like flavor in your ear song with the remixes that they did with Busta Rhymes and then throwing Biggie on there. That's what blew up Biggie, who is his core of what Bad Boy was. Like without Biggie and all this, like, yeah, you get a little bit of buzz probably, but Biggie is what sustained that buzz. Fast forward a little bit because I'm not going to hit every little detail of there's a lot of little claims like that the film makes. They break it down by films, I mean, by sections in each episode, and each episode is kind of like telling you a story. The first two episodes are like continuance of each other. That's what I felt like, right? I'm not sure if you felt the same way.
Well, the first one, it kind of leaves on this cliffhanger about Tupac being killed under Puffy's orders, and it leaves you with that, and then you get to see the second part, and they kind of start recapping on that. And I just got to say, right out of the gate, had absolutely no expectation that that was even going to be a plot line in this, let alone the main focus of the entire 4-part documentary series is really about how Puff Daddy's the one that had Tupac killed, and then by proxy had Biggie killed or was the cause of Biggie getting killed, and all the like the entire East Coast versus West Coast beef apparently happened because of something that Puff Daddy did.
And that was what was interesting. This is a detail, like some of the details they did put in, I'm like, okay, you got me. So like I was lured in because then they're talking about this, which a lot of us, especially if you're growing up late 90s, early 90s, in the 2000s, you knew who Tupac was, you knew who Biggie was, you knew about the West Coast, East Coast feud. A lot of us have followed this, right? I've seen a lot of documentaries on Tupac and Biggie and who did it, who done it, like interviews with everybody. I don't hear a lot of people talk about the real, like how it started. About they were talking about Diddy also because he probably needs attention. He feels a certain way about himself. He likes to steal people's girlfriends. They even have Eric Sermon in there talking about he's trying to take his girlfriend. Well, at an Atlanta club, or I think a bar club, he goes down there like they're partying. Suge has a girl because all these guys have wives and side pieces. It must be nice, man. They're just going everywhere, like wherever they want.
Goodfellas rules, yeah.
Yeah, Goodfellas rules. And Diddy wants to get with his girl. And he gets with her and starts buying her stuff. He's wooing her. And they get into an altercation with Suge and Suge's friend, and he kills Suge's friend. And that's not publicized a lot, right? Everybody thinks it's all about when they went to the Source Awards and Suge Knight, which to me is an iconic moment when he's like, if you don't want a producer that's going to be all up in your videos, dancing around, like that's an iconic hip hop moment forever. Like you love that part of it. That's what everybody thinks it's about, but really it's about Suge's friend getting gunned down over Diddy trying to steal his girl.
And I guess that becomes a constant thing where even if you're best friends with P. Diddy, he's gonna move in on your girl as a show of dominance. It's like his way of, and they touch a little bit on it in the first episode where they're talking about his dad was a legit Mac, like Iceberg Slim style pimp that was like running the streets, and he was kind of, they make it seem like he was holding his own down, and Puffy is kind of grown and raised to be like, your daddy didn't take nothing, so you better not take nothing. So this like mentality of, yeah, I'm a pimp, I'm Iceberg Slim out on these streets. It's kind of like that's the mentality, even though he's behind a desk, right? He's making money working behind a desk as an A&R.
And one fact that is good that about this film that I liked as well is that they brought Kirk into it, Kirk Burrows, who is a co-founder of Bad Boy. Because a lot of people always see the faces like Suge or Diddy, and they don't know other people that are actually making it run, right? Like that, yeah, they're not saying that Diddy and Suge are not an important piece of what you're doing and trying to catapult into the mainstream. But when you got people like Kirk that's over there actually putting things together, getting interviews, doing, getting you and networking with people, and they actually have him now. You can claim that maybe he's a bitter, like ex co-founder of Bad Boy, and they had a bad business relationship. But to me, I feel as him as genuine, and that he adds character to this film.
Well, it's not a bad business relationship. He claims in no uncertain terms in this series that he owned 25% of Bad Boy, and that Puff Daddy came in one day and had like a bat or something, was like literally looming over him with a weapon and saying, sign over your shares to me right now. Don't worry, you'll get them back, but sign them over to me right now. and he doesn't, I guess, fight this for who knows how many decades, and it looks like it got turned down in the courts, right? So this isn't just a bad business relationship. If you go by his word, then his partner came in and almost pistol whipped his all of his equity directly out of this company unprompted. So yeah, I'd say it's beyond just a bad business relationship.
Yeah, beyond yeah. But I'm saying, people how they a lot of normies, what we would call people that like don't look it through a different lens, would be like, hey man, they work together and they just didn't like each other. And you're like, I don't know, man. Like to me, if he was the only one saying it, then I could go, okay, maybe. But there's a lot of things that are said in this film alone, not to mention the things that are said that are not in this film. Now, another base that they touched on that I thought was cool was they brought Keefe D into this, which I was not expecting this at all. I was actually talking crap. I'm like, but you don't put what they didn't put everything that Keefe D says, because Keefe D has some gold, man. I don't know if you ever listened to his Vlad TV stuff or other interviews on YouTube. Go look up Keefe D. He has some raw stuff for you.
What were his main claims in this?
In this, they actually have Keefe D's claims or actual recordings by the police where he's like, yeah, Diddy hired us to take care of Tupac, and that like he taught the hit. And so there's actual evidence where he was talking to prosecutors and cops while he was locked up because he was in jail at the time. But that's what they showed in the film. But what he says that I've heard him say, not only does he say that was his cousin Orlando that got beat up by Tupac, he claims that he got beat up because they snatched one of Pac's cruise chains, right? That's his cousin or nephew, my bad, nephew. And they got into the car and they were like, hey, this is our opportunity. They talked to one of their plug. They talk about the people, and this is another interesting part. They actually break down the people they're connected with. The street people in New York that got them connected with the Crips. You know what I mean? Like, how would you go and just know the West Coast Crips? Through a criminal organization, right? Another criminal organization goes over there and refers you, go, hey, they're good. They're the Crips. Good guys. Outstanding, man. You would love to hire them. And they also all hung around Diddy, and anytime they were in the West Coast, like they bodyguarded for them. They would give them tickets to go to shows and stuff like that. So they had a relationship with Diddy, and it was like kind of like a protect. You can do whatever you want because we run this city. We have more people than they have people, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, just keep the money flowing.
Keep it flowing. And he claims that Diddy was supposed to give him $1 million for this hit that was taking place through a third party, like how they went through it. They were like that he called him after this happened, after Orlando got beat up. Like they talked and they were like, this is a perfect opportunity. This is your opportunity to get that $1 million. Now, Keefe D claims that they went to where they thought Tupac was going to be. And then they even put this in the film. That's why it was interesting. He's like, hey, they're going to be at this club. We're going to go over there. We're just going to take care of them. Well, they wait there for 15 minutes. They don't show up. Suge and Tupac are driving to that club, but they're stuck in traffic because this is in Las Vegas after a Mike Tyson fight. Just so happens Keefe D and them are driving by and they hear some girl going, that's Tupac, trying to take a picture of him. That's like the last still picture that they talk about. And they go, oh, there he is. And they just shoot him. And he right there in front of everybody. And they said that the cops come, and he claims that they were standing right there when the cops came. And they're like across the street or whatever. They're like, what's going on? Like pretending that they were just like watching what was going on. And they're like spectators in the whole situation, when he claims that his nephew actually took the shots at Tupac.
How much credit do you give this? I just got to ask. We're talking, the source is someone that's currently in jail making some very, very wild claims. So I can see why some people be like, oh man, that's crazy. This insider footage, we got him, right? Yeah, red-handed. But if you were to bring this up as evidence in a courtroom with nothing else to substantiate it, it's like, okay, yeah, you found some Crip gangster to say that he did something high profile. What else do you got?
No, I agree. So like if you hear he has more allegations, but one of the crazy things too is that he's not in prison anymore, but he's back in jail because he was out for a while and he was doing interviews, doing the rounds. Now he is going to trial for this. They're actually putting together a case, and it goes to trial, I think, August 2026. So
For
now we'll
killing
get to
Tupac?
see.
He's gonna go to trial for killing Tupac?
Allegedly, yeah, or being associated with what happened. It
When you say, wait, when you say allegedly, is this like Hillary Clinton was allegedly whisked off into like a military tribunal back in 2016, allegedly, or
well, that's what we don't know, is because it's hard to tell, because Keefy D has wild claims, right? Like, so a lot of these characters that go on these Vlad TV, like, I like them. They're super entertaining. It's great to clip them, but you can't always 100% take their word for it, right? Because they're fantastical. And Keefy D's one of those. Like, he not only, let me tell you a couple of his claims that he makes. Not only did he say that Puffy made a hit, was a alleged hit for $1 million to take out Tupac, he also claims that he's seen Puffy and Tupac in a club together, and that they were hugged up and kissing on each other. And he was like, what's this weird shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he talks like he's like an old gangster dude. And he's like, man, these motherfuckers just kiss you on each other. I'm like, what the fuck, man? He's just getting all crazy with it. He also claims that that is why the beef of Tupac all started, is because that Tupac and Diddy are scorned lovers. So I don't know if it's true, but I love it.
I gotta say it probably lessens the credibility for me a little bit. And honestly, I'm not saying that it's impossible, because for the longest time, the whole rumor that most people are even thinking about when now Puff Daddy and the whole baby oil and all this stuff comes up is that you basically, if you wanted to be a rapper in the 90s, that you had to get violated by another guy inside the label. And that's just how things worked. And it's one of those things that always sounded like, yeah, when you go and make a movie, they make you go and, like, give a blood oath and write a contract to the devil. And whenever they swear a new president in, they show them who killed JFK. It's like one of these things that's fun to think about and fun to say. But deep down, I don't know if I was ever like, yeah, and I 100% believe that that's all totally accurate and that's exactly how it worked. But the more that this documentary goes on, that is the picture that I want to say Netflix as a whole, because 50 is not like the writer director, he's a producer on this. So the Netflix documentary as a whole is like, nah, actually that is real. That if you did want to become a rapper on most of the major labels in the 90s, then Puff Daddy had to violate you. And like, I'm still trying to process that was real and not just a crazy thing that people used to say.
And I think the evidence pointing towards Diddy is hard to ignore. Like, I don't know about the Pac Diddy love affair. Like I said, I love it. It's great. It's it's entertaining. I will tell you that. But after he started doing these interviews, he gets arrested September 2023. And then he's going to trial for the orchestration of Tupac's murder. So we're like, now I'm like, I don't think that, like you said, I don't think that means everything he's saying in these claims are real, but I think some of them are. And then you start seeing some of these film where I think some of the people are like Kirk are more credible. So I think maybe the part of him orchestrating it or being part of the plot to assassinate Tupac, that could be true, because I like the angle that the film took, more of that Puffy was jealous of Tupac because he wanted the limelight his whole life. Like, he always wants this validation. He wants to be the star, but he's never had maybe the abilities. He's always had to be lifting up these people to be the star. And I kind of like the angle they take, where they're like, he's doing this because Tupac is taking too much shine. He's with Biggie. I need to start it. And that's where the real rift begins, is when Tupac is going to go record with Biggie. I think this was in 1994 or somewhere around there. And he's at the bottom of, I think fourth floors where Biggie's at the studio. He's going to go in the elevator, and then two gunmen come, shoot him up 5 times. And then he's hospitalized. And then he actually goes to court for a rape case. But I'm just saying that was interesting. And then there's always I just want to say a fun fact. I don't know if you ever heard this. Growing up, there was like this rumor, just like how they would say Marilyn Manson took out his like ribs to do that. Like, there was this rumor that Tupac got raped in jail. I don't know if that to be true, but that was a rumor that was spreading like wildfire as I was younger.
The other thing too, where they're talking about Puffy that's orchestrating this because he's getting Tupac and Biggie are getting too friendly. They make a good point that because Puffy's more of an A&R, he's more of like a suit guy, and he's not. And they kind of outright say, a few people say that He's not a creative person. He's not writing music. He's not really a musician deep down. He's just this guy that keeps inserting himself into the music and into the videos, and just like Suge Knight had brought up at the awards, right? But that was legit. And then the other part of it too, that I guess I don't understand this part, but that he could be making all these people that he's in their video and he's doing a feature on your song. He could make you rich. Like, he's getting rich off of your music. And if he just cuts you in with what he's supposed to be cutting you in, now you're rich too. And now you're happy to have him in the video, right? You're like, hell yeah, come jump on another video. Let's get rich some more. But the opposite's happening, is that he's jumping on these videos, he's cutting these records, he's getting these artists famous, but then he's not paying them anything. He's like making them basically beg for. There was one dude that was a producer for him for 2 years, I think he said, and he only got paid like 30 grand or something over the course of 2 years, and he kept getting strung along. And that was a recurring theme. Every single person in this documentary, at least, is all kind of a scorned lover or a scorned ex artist that Puff Daddy had ripped off or not paid. Or and when you were talking about credibility and the different people that they interview in this documentary series, I mean, I don't know any of their credibility. I wouldn't know one from the other in terms of, is Albie Shore lying? Is is like they didn't get Craig Mack because Craig Mack's dead, but is Eric Sermon lying? I don't know. I'm not going to say that they're lying, but also every single person that they interview has a bone to pick with Diddy, and none of them are necessarily like, he set my car on fire. It's more just, he screwed me over in a bad business deal, and he was a dick, and he stole my girl. So part of that too, I'm not going to be an apologist at all in here, but it's like, man, if they put a documentary together over all of your ex-girlfriends and all of your like friends that you owe money to still, like, how's that documentary going to look? And how is the credibility of all those people when every single claim in here, it's not like a traditional documentary where it's like, hey, did you just hear what Albie Shore said? Well, look, here's the documentation and here's the footage. They just let mad people go wild, just like talking nonstop about Puff Daddy. And the documentary never necessarily takes a step and then shows you, and it's true. It's all true. They don't really do that part. They just let people air out their grievances.
Which, you are absolutely right. That's the way you have to look at this, because there's not like this is biased, and this film is super biased, right? It's not like telling, well, Diddy was, there's not one person that was like, Diddy was all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they really don't show that. Every person that's predominantly in this film is this like, yeah, he screwed me over, man.
And maybe that's just because he screws everybody over. Like, if you come in, that's the impression you get from the documentary, that even if you're on good terms, even if you do everything right and you're nice to him, you show up on time, and you do your job, he's still going to violate you and not pay you. He's going to do both of those things.
One of the claims I thought was interesting too is that, which a lot of this stuff I knew, right? Like, I've dabbled in this for a while. It's like right up my alley. This is my wheelhouse. But just see everybody hearing the, like, after the claim of Tupac, there's also a claim that, that he was a part of either part or cause. It doesn't really like state, it kind of makes it seem like he just used Biggie's death to catapult his stuff, but it doesn't really make any claims that he actually killed Biggie, which there is a lot of claims that out there that say all kinds of stuff, like, the Muslim Brotherhood, people say was a part of it, all kinds of different stories. And there's even like stories where they say that Diddy got rid of Biggie because he was about to start his own label. He was buying his publishing back. I don't know those to be true. This is all hearsay. That's what people have said, that I have to say I believe them, because I'm like, they're like, I was there. And you're like, I guess. Like, I can't hear the other side of it, so I don't know. So those claims they don't make. So I understand why they didn't get some of that stuff in there. But this claim is crazy to me, because they start talking about how they're like, yeah, you have artists that work for him, and you have to get, he's in your video, he charges you. You're at his studio, he charges you. He has his cars in your video, he charges you. But to have the audacity that they said that he's like, I'm going to have the biggest funeral ever for Biggie, man. We're going to, for New York. And then they claim that he had this huge funeral, and all the stuff that you saw like on TV, that whole parade and everything, was funded by the Biggie Smalls estate, that he charged it back to the estate. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Immediately, the Breakfast Club has already debunked it. They claim that one of the former business managers says no, that never happened, that he's seen the transaction, and that like Biggie's mom would never have, she's not dumb enough to let that slide by. But also conveniently, Biggie's mom passed away in February, so she is not in the documentary as well. And I know that for a long time she was very mad at like Diddy and stuff like that. So I wish we could have her side of it. So all the people involved, even the debunkers, I don't know who I believe.
I don't know how much I care about this particular claim either. I mean, they made money doing music, so ultimately, if it came out of the estate of Big Ear, if it came out of Puffy's pocket, either one of those, the end result though is just that you see this constant trend of anyone in his vicinity that's getting popular, or getting big, and it's making money. Horrible things happen to you. Like either you're gonna die, or you're gonna get touched in a certain way, or you're just gonna end up not being you're going to be like a shell of your former self, and then it happens to every single person that he kind of comes in contact with. It's like this reverse Midas touch with baby oil and GHB, right? So the GHB touch.
And on that note, it switches. And also, you should switch to Under the Docks. Like, subscribe, share, share, share. You know, if you like this stuff that we do, share it to your friends so they can stay away from people like Diddy, right? You don't want to get that GHB baby lotion that you don't even know, right? They had the baby oil and GHB in there and you didn't even know it. You didn't know it at all because it takes a turn right here. So the first two episodes are pretty much about early Diddy, Tupac, Biggie's death, his ties to it. Some of the artists, kind of like a few sexual assault things are sprinkled in there. They have one where an early in the 90s where some girl claims that she was sexually assaulted. Her mom confronted Diddy's mom. I mean, they have people talking about his mom, how he raised them. But now it changes to the next two episodes, which is predominantly about Cassie, I don't know if they're still married, but I think that's his most recent wife. I don't know if they're wife or they have a couple kids together.
This is
They
all new
kind
to
of,
me, by the way. The like
yeah,
Cassie, the artist, Cassie with the relationship, all brand new to me.
yeah, and they kind of talk about Kim Porter a little bit, which was predominantly his wife for the longest time. Because also, I'm with you. Like a lot of this stuff, I'm not like, oh, who's dating who? Like I don't know that
This is
stuff.
like Real Housewife area. Like I don't know who Kim Porter is either.
I didn't even realize this is something I did learn from this film. I heard, I don't even know the song name, but one of the songs came on and I was like, oh, that's Cassie. Like I heard the song before, like at the mall, the radio somewhere. I'm like, oh, I never knew that she was actually a recording artist. I had heard after all this stuff that these alleged and tapes that came out of kind of like she was with Diddy, but I didn't know that if she was a model. And I was like, oh, she's a singer. So I learned something with this film that Cassie is a singer. So if you guys didn't know, now you know.
Aren't we all?
And they kind of just delve on this whole topic of the first one, like of how he treated her and these freak offs. Like they even have interviews. Now I might be mixing it because I can't remember if it was the third or fourth episode, but they start talking to like one of the escorts and he's like making claims of like, oh, hey, what's it called? They fly me out to Miami to just like pretty much screw his wife or a girlfriend at the time because they talked about how she had wanted a recording deal and she was with somebody else. Again, this is a theme throughout the documentary that she was with somebody else that was like a producer and Diddy liked her and he got her in the studio and was like, hey, here's a 10 album deal, which is unheard of for some like new, not really relevant artist. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to give you upfront a 10 album deal, whatever you want, you got it. And then she became his arm candy, right? For the better words.
I guess that's the best way to put that. I mean, arm candy that you fly escorts out to and drug, and then like it starts getting violent too, right? Because I guess this is the only footage that I remember seeing when this case started actually getting into the public media is of Puff Daddy dragging some girl down a hallway and like kicking her or something, and then just going back. And it wasn't necessarily the violence of the act; it was that he's doing this in just a hotel floor, not even in the room, but just out in the middle of the hallway. And just the idea that like, oh, he knows that he could just do this and get away with it because he's just doing this out in public. He's not even trying to hide it. And I think that that was, and apparently that was Cassie. That was like his wife at the time. Like he's married to her as he's doing this.
I think so. Like this is where like I'm kind of foggy because I don't follow the relation. I know that he was married to Kim Porter for a long time, but she died, and that's something that was interesting that they didn't really touch on. That's a conspiratorial thing that I'll get to in the hidden treasures and overboard moments.
Okay.
They have this idea of like building that he's just a womanizer, you know, like not just the rape cases, but they interview this.
I mean, it's like hip hop in the '90s. What do you want? This is it's exactly what you would expect
the
it
one
to
that
be.
gets you is that when they start talking about the escorts, and he's actually telling again, I don't know if he's biased. I don't know if he's just talking for money, but he claims that not only has he been to these freak offs, that Diddy was doing things like saving his jizz, and like they were saving it in a jar, and he's like, why are you doing that? And they're like, we like to drink it and play with it and all that. I'm like, what? Like that's a little like a little extra for me. Like that part, that detail did not need to be. I think that's for TikTok purposes. To be honest, some of this stuff, I believe that the first half had their own like agenda. The second half seemed for the TikTok crowd, because then it started getting into this like sexual stuff.
I mean, that's the whole second half of the entire docu-series. That's honestly, that's what the whole Diddy party thing means now. It's all that weird sexual stuff. When that guy started talking, the escort started talking about that particular angle, though, again, I was just like, man, I believe so much what you're saying, and now it's starting to go a little bit weird because it's like, what's the shelf life on this stuff? It's not like is yours is so special that they have to keep yours in particular. And then he did say that after he asked them about it, they never did it again. They never like had him save it again or whatever. I don't know. If it feels like an extra detail that's either there to prove that, you know, this is real because listen to this detail, or it's fake because it's like, hey, they just needed to embellish it with this extra detail. I don't know which of the two. Again, if you're asking me what I believe, I don't know, but if I could believe that everything that's said in this thing is 100% accurate, it would not shock me. It wouldn't take me, it wouldn't be as hard as convincing someone like the moon landing wasn't real or that like JFK was shot by his own government. If you were like, and everything they said in the Diddy documentary is true, like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, it's just a normal day at the office for us, man. It's oh wow. But I do agree with you because some of my thoughts while he was talking was like, it gave like Scorn Lover as far as like maybe he was a male prostitute and then he fell in love with Cassie. And you know, when you guys do weird things, I've seen guys do stuff like that. And maybe because the way he was talking about, but then I started thinking like he was saying like he's beating her in front of me, and I'm like, and you're not doing anything. Like, what are you like?
And you're not talking about it for literal decades after all this is happening. And he said he was getting paid like 6 G's every time they'd fly him out there and like do all that. I don't know. It sounds like a decent gig that you wouldn't want to screw up. But also another constant theme is that pretty much every single person that we hear getting interviewed, some of this is like the first time they've said it in quite a while, or at least publicly, right? So everyone sat on these crazy stories for 20 plus years, and now we're getting them. So it does make it a little bit harder. It's like it's almost like like this is P. Diddy's own personal Me Too that's not gender specific. Like anyone can Me Too Biggie, or sorry, can Me Too Puffy. And they're kind of like in the right, but also it's so old that no one really cares anymore.
Yeah, because they even go through one of the girls from Danity Kane and the band, and a little bit they sprinkle some of that. And then towards the end of the last episode, they kind of go with the claim of like, I didn't know this. Again, I don't follow who's dating who, so I knew a little bit about this side, but I didn't know that it was because Cassie was dating Kid Cudi, or they were seeing each other, and then Diddy flipped out and he took one of his publicists, or I think it was a publicist. I forgot what her name is, but she's friends with Cassie. And then he took her and supposedly kidnapped her, went to Cudi's house with a gun, kicked up the door. Where is she? And all this stuff, and blew up his car or something. I'm paraphrasing, but it's somewhere in that.
I don't think they even mentioned the car in the documentary series.
Yeah, they did not mention that. You are correct. That's what the other part of the internet is saying. They just basically said that he went over there, but Kid Cudi was not there. And that he said that he was holding the Cassie's friend hostage until Cassie came there, and then she came, and that was the end of the story. And then
That's wild to me that they didn't at least get a Kid Cudi news clip, interview, nothing, because Kid Cudi was in court and testified that Puff Daddy blew up his car with a Molotov cocktail. So I mean, it's again, it's like the things that they decided to include, like the dude saving his jizz or whatever, so they could eat it later. But then they don't mention an actual court recorded Kid Cudi saying, "Hey, Puff Daddy blew my car up." It was wild that I would love to understand how some things made it and some things didn't.
hidden treasures and overboard moments. I'll let you go first.
I mean, I'm kind of new to this. I lived through the East West thing, and Tupac getting shot and all this. But again, like I mentioned, I always had heard these rumors, but it was like one of those silly, Marilyn Manson had his rib taken out kind of rumors. So I never gave it 100% credit. Again, it's believable, but I can't really put any stake in it. The hidden treasure here was just that now there is a very strong, even if it's all hearsay, but there's a very strong case to get the mainstream of people on this exact side, that all of this is true, and that Puff Daddy was the catalyst between East-West beef and the death of Tupac, and by proxy, the death of Biggie. I think that was an incredibly ambitious documentary series, and you get a lot of interviews that seem pretty shocking. Like I didn't know half the people that were getting interviewed. I didn't know about the guy that had 25%. There was another guy that's like living on the street now and it made me think like, man, maybe not focusing entirely on music in the 90s and early 2000s, maybe that was a good thing, because even if you made it to the absolute top, even if you're like, Mom, I'm in a video with Puffy, I'm making an album with Puffy, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna be rich now. Like I get my Lambo, right? And it's like, nope, you get 15 grand a year for that. So I think having that level of insider insight into what it was like to work at this like very top level, that's something that I've never really gotten out of a documentary before.
And for me, the hidden treasure is just being happy that certain things, and even if it wasn't diving deeper as I would like, I was just like, wow, this is on Netflix. That's pretty crazy. So the first two parts, I was like, wow, this is cool that people are going to be exposed to some of this. Maybe because in some senses, I was thinking like, yeah, I get it. You can't just go like, yeah, this is a cultic ritual, right? Like they're gonna be like, whoa. But if you kind of baby step them in there, man, then me and you could come in there and go, hey, hold up, we got a little bit more for you. There's a little bit more on the side. So I think the hidden treasure, this opens the door for people that might just foo what we say when we're like, hey, that's kind of crazy. They drink blood. And we're like, no, look, this guy is saying that they're saving his semen. Like, it's not that far off from drinking blood, man. It's not that crazy.
Yeah, it backs a lot of that up. And then I guess I'll do some of the overboard moments. And I think like twofold. And it's kind of like these are the two biggest complaints I got with this one. One is that if you don't care about Puff Daddy or Tupac, you probably don't care about any of this documentary, right? Like you already have to somehow care about the artist involved or the personalities or like the weird relationship stuff. You don't care about any of that, even though it seems like really important, monumental, culture-changing things happen throughout this documentary. It sort of caters more to someone that again already cares about it. And there's after all the documentaries we've seen so far, there's so many that we end up watching that like I don't care about this topic. Why would I care about this? And then it makes you care about it. And this series, it doesn't necessarily do that. It wouldn't like pull like a normie friend of mine or like someone that just listens to the country or something. They're not going to really care about any of this, and in fact might get turned even more away. Like, what did he say that they were saving again? So that's one of the aspects. And then the other one is that if you sit down and watch this all 4 episodes, and you don't already, if you're not like, yeah, let's see Diddy get torn down a few pegs, which I'm all for, and right again, like I'm a believer, but if you're not sitting down with that mentality, it's very easy to be like, oh, this is just a bunch of people talking a bunch of crap about Puff Daddy and how like horrible he is, but all conveniently they're not speaking up until 20 years later when they can get paid maybe or get a little bit extra clout for being in this documentary. Again, I'm not saying that every person interviewed wasn't screwed over by Puff Daddy, but it's disheartening. And I wish, man, I would have loved one extra question that we got an answer to in this documentary. If every single person, they were like, and why haven't you said anything about this until just now? I would love to just get everyone's response. Maybe it's like, I thought the dude was going to kill me. They even talk about how some people were shocked that he only got, I think, like 20 months or something. It wasn't, he only got found on one particular charge, which was traveling over state lines for the process of like prostitution. And that was it. And all the other charges, all the attempted murders and all the violent stuff, all either got dropped or they just didn't find ways to prosecute him. So now there's people that are like, I showed my whole hand. I came out, I testified, I rallied, and now this dude's going to be back out on the street in a year and a half. And maybe I'm screwed now because he's still got money and he's still got connections. And if even like 10% of what they're saying is true, like you're going to find a lot more dead bodies floating, I think, in the area.
And for me, I'll say the overboard moments, it's split into a couple of different categories. One is I'm like, if you're gonna have some of these scorned people, like why not have some of the best ones like Jaguar Wright, Gene Deal. Gene Deal is his former bodyguard that's like always on Vlad TV with some gold, man. He claims to be there at the New York City College event. He claims that he was security that day. He claims that Diddy told him stand down. He had 20 guys that were going to be there, or a certain amount of people that he was going to hire for the event. And that Diddy said, no, just bring a couple of your best guys just for the artist. He said he didn't have enough staff, that it was oversold. So there was some aspects like and again, I know they're trying to fit it in for a certain audience. And that's also my overboard moment is, even though I said it brings it to a normie crowd, it's like when the pendulum swings back at you, but it's also catered to this TikTok a crowd. And I don't mean to pick on them or anything, but they like run with these claims, and like Jaguar Wright does say some crazy claims. So does Gene Deal. So does Keefy D in all these other interviews. But it's like, where's the questions to like validate if they are telling the truth? They just go, wow, like I can't just see you tell me crazy stuff, which I do believe that Diddy is a part of some crazy stuff. But I think people you don't have to sell me. You know what I'm saying? Just show me that it's the truth. And I feel like some of these people like Jaguar Wright, and because I'm like, why wasn't she involved in the film? And then how come if they're going to explore some of this stuff and maybe they didn't have, if you're going to show speculation, right? A lot of this was speculation, people's like their own personal testimony of what they said happened. Why not show some of the Bieber stuff? That's just weird, man. Like, you don't even have to be like, hey, look at this. That's what I always show people. I'm like, hey, I'm not saying that he's doing anything. And I think, though, that's more effective. Sometimes when you have too many people talking bad about a person, it could actually give you the opposite effect, because you're like, why are all these people against them? Hey, people were against me before. People have been conspired against. So I think that it does the opposite effect sometimes, and that this film could do that by catering to the TikTok crowd, where I heavily saw that in the second two episodes, where I'm like, oh, this constant love affair stuff, like the true crime kind of feel to it, right? Like, oh, scorned lovers, and she's going back to him. They even interview some of the jurors, and all the stuff I saw was just people that I've seen before, like making a 90-second TikTok, like, did you know? Like, I'm not saying none of those are not interesting, but a lot of them were the same. So that's one of my overboard moments. And the other overboard stuff is, again, why not get other people, not just the people against him, but like Gene Deal. To me, I can't believe they didn't have Gene in this. Gene is the one that claims that Biggie was buying his publishing back. Gene is the one that claims that Biggie was going to start his own record label. I'm like, how do you not have him in the film? Whether he's genuine or telling, so could these other people, right? Like, so I'm like, to me, you lost me there, because when they turned it to the other side, that was an overboard moment where they just spent on Cassie too much on Cassie. Not even the Kim Porter stuff. They didn't even go into like how Kim Porter, like people believe that she mysteriously died of pneumonia, that he had her killed. There's all kinds of conspiracies there that they didn't even touch. And I'm like, if you're going to go down the conspiracy lane, go full force. Don't just go like, yeah, he's a little bit. Okay, now we're going to the stuff we know that we could sell to you.
I think there's a reason for that too, maybe. And like, if I put my tinfoil hat on a little bit, but that's because if you watch this documentary again, you'll notice that it's all about, I mean, obviously, but it's all about Puffy. but the dude is surrounding himself with enablers and people that are procuring this stuff and people that are seeing it happen, allowing it to happen. You don't get any of those names. You don't get the names of the bodyguards or the people as concierge or like the entire circle around him. And you also don't see the politicians that were involved in all the Diddy parties. If you go back when this was all coming out before the documentary, but like when he was actually going through trouble, there was a lot of speculation on like, oh wow, just like Epstein, Diddy's got these high level politicians, high level athletes, sports stars, celebrities, musicians that would catch all these different strays. And part of me thinks that since this is ultimately like a Puff Daddy hit piece, again, my tinfoil hat's going to be firmly on my head right now, but here's the scapegoat. And I'm not saying an innocent scapegoat, but I'm saying here's a scapegoat that can take all the blame of misogyny of the 90s and drugging people and assaulting people and like all all of the East Coast, West Coast violence, all the Bloods, all the Crips, like everyone, Tupac dying, Biggie dying. We can all put it on his shoulders right now and make sure that no one else catches strays. No one else gets a little bit of that on them, even though there had to be hundreds, if not thousands of people that are just as culpable in like just enabling Puff Daddy to do everything that he did. So I think that, I don't know what 50's got out of this or like what dirt someone might have on him, but it's almost like everyone involved in this documentary knows that it's safe to attack Puffy, but don't turn your head 10 degrees to the left or the right and see who's like by his side, see who is making sure all this was actually happening. Like he got the key to the city, right? I bet you could track the receipts on that key to the city and find some dirt. And this documentary doesn't really do any of that.
No, not at all. And that's one of my biggest claims that I forgot, the overboard moment that they just brush over. He was hugely influenced by Clive Davis. Like nobody wants to talk about Clive Davis. Clive Davis, I think, is, in my opinion, my tinfoil hat on. He's who creates Puffy. He's the one that creates this menace. And now he's like, let's toss him away. But nobody will speak about Clive, right? They go, yeah, Clive Davis. And anyways, Diddy was over there. They don't talk about Clive's parties. They don't talk about what happens there. Like you said, there's way higher up people up the chain, and it just stops at Diddy. I'm not saying, I do believe that Diddy probably did some weird stuff. I do believe that he's ripped people off and he's done people wrong. But let's not pretend like he's the head of the beast, right? Like he's just the middle management, if at best. And I do think that they should have kind of took the other angles, not just about the Clive Davis stuff, but maybe show the other aspect, because there's some people that believe that once he got into the alcohol game and the Ciroc, that he pissed off some prominent families, right? So take some other angles of who would try to take him down. And guess who was also trying to be in the alcohol game? 50. Could he be being backed by some of these alcohol company families that are like, hey, take him down a peg, right? He pissed us off. He thought he ran the city. We're about to show him who the real elites are. He's just middle management. Put him in his place. I kind of see it that way too. It's about that time, man. Sink or swim?
Now you go first.
I will go first. This is a surprise, man. I wanted to. I'm gonna say that I would recommend someone could watch this, but I would say only watch the first 2 episodes, and then I would say just tune out. And even the first 2 episodes, which I like, they suckered me in because I'm biased. I know about this topic. I could be like, yeah, man, I've been telling you about this, and it validates some of the things I've said, but it doesn't even go deep enough for me. And then that whole second half is just a drag to me. And I understand the importance of it, but I just thought you could get so much more out of this film. I was hyped to see this, and I am so disappointed. I give this a sink.
Boo. Well, man, I think that for once we're in total agreement, because I also give it a sink. Mainly, here's the main reason though, is because this is 4 hours, right? This is 4 separate episodes that you had to sit through. And even though I like learned a whole bunch of new things, I feel like all that could have been condensed into a 2-hour documentary, an hour and a half long documentary. And also I wanted, it would have been so much more valuable if this could actually stand as some kind of piece of evidence, right? If they actually had something crazy and not just a lot of people saying crazy things and having really wild interviews and claims made. So I was expecting so much more. I still feel that there's going to be a more definitive documentary on this topic that comes out. I don't think this is the one. It's not horrible. If you care about the case at all, then you'd probably enjoy the entire thing. But if you're unfamiliar, you probably don't care about it at all. And I don't think it really pushes the needle one way or the other. It's definitely escalates like a beef now between 50 and Puff Daddy, I guess. But now we're talking about like 50-year-olds, right? So going on 60-year-olds beefing over things that happened in the 90s. And I don't know. I don't know if I can get behind that. I wanted so much more out of this. So yeah, just like you, I was disappointed, especially going into it a little bit hype.
Yeah, we were like, hey, let's drop everything and watch this thing. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, it was all right. Like, I can be entertained by it, but I was just like thinking from the terms of people, like you said, like if you listen to country music and you don't care about any of this rap beef stuff, you're not going to watch it. If you're not into conspiratory stuff at all, you're not going to watch it. And then you're going to be disappointed to see the second half where they spend too much time on stuff that maybe we don't care about. And one of the funny parts to me, though, it's not in the film, but it's in the promotion of the film, and 50 talks about it, and he's done this on the Breakfast Club. It's hilarious to me, where he's like, man, he tried to take me shopping, man. What grown man tries to take another man shopping? And supposedly that's what the beef is about. And now there's a debate on radio where they're like, nah, I don't know, it probably something deeper than that. But someone on TikTok cracked me up, man, and I never thought of this, and I thought this was hilarious to me. They were like, go watch 50 Cent's video again, Window Shopper. In that whole video, he's taking Mace shopping. So that's kind of ironic. It cracks me up, man. He's just taking him shopping. You know what? You should also take yourself shopping. And if you want to learn a little bit more about some crazy stuff, let's get a little frazzle drip. Go to paranoidamerican.com. Go get you a comic book and share, like, subscribe, everything under the docs. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.
Under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Buried deep, but we're breaking the locks. Footage got clipped, they erased all the shots. They connected dots. Under the docks, under the docks, yeah, under the docks.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com. Oh, nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlight your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb. Distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.